Appreciate everybody coming out today. And certainly the coverage you provide for our team and our conference is something that makes this conference very special. So I thank you very much for your time. Really appreciate it. Certainly humbled and honored to be here today representing Mississippi State SEC Media Day. You look around at the event, the people that are here, and the coverage, and the slogan that it just means more really resonates. So it's certainly an honor and privilege to be a part of this. Just 3 short years ago, at this time of year, I was the head coach of Fordham University in the Patriot League. And not to take away from Patriot League Media Day, which was held at Green Pond Country Club in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, but certainly this one is a little bit larger in scope and significance. So certainly proud to be a part of the SEC Media Days. I would like to thank the SEC Communications Department. When I saw the list earlier in the spring and saw that I was speaking on the same day as Coach Saban, I was a little bit worried that I was going to have to go after him. So it would kind of be like taking the stage and performing after the Beatles, and no one's going to be in their seats and paying attention to what you're doing. So I'm excited to be able to go and lead off today. Hopefully I can start the day off on the right foot, and I promise I won't use the words excited or opportunity too many times. The past 8 months have been incredibly busy but incredibly productive. When we got here, we were forged with keeping our 2018 recruiting class together. I think we put together a very solid class. And, part of that was getting out to the high schools in the state of Mississippi and the surrounding areas, establishing and cultivating relationships with the players, with the coaches, with the administration, the fans. And I thought that went very well for us. From there, we transitioned into our winter workout program, which is led by Coach Paroli, another Northerner that I brought down with me on the staff, hailing from the great football city of Aliquippa, Pennsylvania. Mike Ditka, Tony Dorsett, Darrell Reeves, Ty Law, amongst others. And Coach Paroli came to us from the Arizona Cardinals. Maybe a little bit biased, but I feel he is the best strength and conditioning coach in the country. And his job is to make sure that our team gets bigger, stronger, faster, and more explosive, concentrating on functional football movements. He's done an unbelievable job in the weight room. And certainly as the strength and conditioning coach, he spends more time with our team than any of the assistants. And we want to make sure that he's continuing to focus on building our culture, mental and physical toughness. And Coach Broly's done an unbelievable job there. Heading from there into our spring ball, where our goals headed into spring ball were to develop our identity and gain confidence. We want to make sure that we dominated situational football, concentrating on explosive play margin and turnover margin. We wanted to make sure that we competed and improved every practice. And I think throughout those 15 opportunities, we took advantage of those. We felt very, very good where we were coming out of spring ball, because as the saying goes, you can't expect a harvest in the fall if you haven't planted in the spring. I think we definitely planted the seeds for success during spring ball. Now we're into our summer conditioning program, which to me is really an extension of our winter workouts. And really it's part of a time of the year where it's player driven. I think our team has selected 2 excellent captains, Nick Fitzgerald and Gary Green. I think we have great leadership across the board in all 3 phases. And certainly we want culture drivers during this time of the year. Guys who understand what it takes from a discipline, accountability, attention to detail standpoint to make sure that things are being done the right way when the coaches aren't around. From there, we'll head into fall camp, which is really an extension of our spring goals. I want to make sure when we get out of the 29 practice opportunities and 3 scrimmages that we have a very good 2 deep in place on offense, defense, and special teams. And certainly as you look at our personnel starting on the defensive side of the ball, very excited with what we have coming back in the direction of Coach Shute. Our front four has been talked about a lot, and for good reason, led by Montez Sweat and Jeffrey Simmons, and we go 2 or 3 deep there at the defensive line. Very talented and athletic at the linebacker position, and certainly a lot of depth and experience at the safety position. On the offensive side of the ball, I'm certainly very excited there as well. Nick Fitzgerald at the quarterback position, good stable running backs, a big physical, aggressive offensive line, and certainly a bunch of playmakers at the tight end and wide receiver position who are going to be given an opportunity during fall camp and the season to show what they can do. And then on special teams, Coach Getsy, our offensive coordinator, and then on special teams led by Coach Joey Jones, Jace Crispin returning as our kicker, and then Cody Schecksager and Tucker Day fighting it out for the punt duties. We'll head from there into the season. Certainly a lot of excitement and optimism abounding for the Mississippi State program. Very challenging and exciting non-conference schedule. I did exciting again. You are keeping you over on that. Might be hitting you over on the exciting calls. But certainly, of our non-conference schedule, the trip to Manhattan, Kansas, the opportunity to play against Kansas State, the coaching icon like Coach Snyder is an awesome opportunity. From there, you head into the conference schedule, and as Certainly everybody knows here in the SEC the margin of error is razor thin. You got to be on top of the game every single week. To have an opportunity to, hopefully when things go well, to be back here in Atlanta in the first weekend of December, competing for the conference championship, and certainly the opportunity to head into the college football playoff. And certainly, as I talked about the margin of error the last 2 years at Penn State, we were very close to the college football playoff in 2016, won the conference, but weren't selected. And this past year, we were 4 points away from being undefeated. Lost to Ohio State by 1, and to Michigan State on the field goal as time expired. So certainly as we go through this SEC schedule, particularly in the western side of the conference, you do have to be on your game every week, and very excited about the opportunity there. And then our goals for the season, certainly we want to perform at a championship standard every single day on the field, in the classroom, in the community. Our goals are to be the best Power 5 team in the state, to be the best team in the SEC conference, and ultimately compete to be the best team in the country. We want to do that while graduating 100% of our players with a meaningful degree, preparing them with the tools to become productive and responsible citizens, and also while impacting Mississippi State and the city of Starkville and the state of Mississippi in a positive manner. How are we going to get that done? I think because we have the requisite talent on our roster to compete on a weekly basis in this conference. I think we put a coaching staff in place that are experts in fundamentals and technique, that can motivate our kids, and that will put schemes into position that will put our guys in a place to make plays. And obviously, what I say up here and talking about it, the excitement and all those things, we want our actions to reflect our goals. So it's not about what I say we're going to do, it's about what we're going to do. Because well done is better than well said. So certainly excited for the season, certainly proud and honored to be the head coach of Mississippi State and be part of this fantastic conference. And open it up to questions.
All right, thank you, Coach. If you have a question, please raise your hand. We'll get a microphone to you. Amanda, Victoria, or Jean Louise. Please stand and give your name and affiliation. We're going to start right over here on the right. Microphone to you.
Coach Tommy Dees, Tuscaloosa News. Can you just tell us what led you to hire Joey Jones? Is there a pre-existing relationship, or what? How did you get there?
There actually was a pre-existing relationship. I got his name recommended to me by someone on our staff, and I think kind of in the process of comprising our assistant coaching staff, we wanted to have a good combination of guys from the north and guys from the south. And certainly, with Coach's extensive recruiting experience, being a head coach in the state of Alabama, and certainly a head coach there for an extended amount of time, we thought the combination of his head coaching experience, how well South Alabama had done on special teams, and certainly what Coach brings to the table from a recruiting standpoint, made it a great natural fit bringing to Mississippi State.
Good, we'll go down here front left. Bob.
Hey Joe, Bob Holt, Arkansas Democrat. You alluded to coaching in Florida, which I guess is in New York City, in the Patriot League. Now you're in Starkville, Mississippi, in the SEC. How would you compare and contrast those situations? And what's it like being one of 6 new coaches in the league or new places? What's been your interaction with coaches in leagues and things like that?
No, it's we've got a bunch of sports people in the room here, so I'm assuming the reference everybody's going to get. Everybody's seen the movie Hoosiers, right? Where Norman Dale takes the team right before the state championship against Muncie Central and their Butler Fieldhouse. He has old Ollie stand on strap shoulders, and they run the tape measure down from the hoop to the floor, and they see that it's 10 feet. That's kind of what I feel like transitioning here from my time at Penn State, my time at Florida into the SEC. The field's 53 1/3 yards wide. It's 100 yards long, and when you're on the field, there's going to be 11 people on the other side. Now they're going to be big, fast, strong, athletic, and very well coached. But from the standpoint of it being a different brand of football, a different style, we're certainly excited for the challenge coming from this conference.
Part of the new coaches?
New coaches? I think it's interesting. 6 new coaches, and the guys bringing new ideas, and getting an opportunity to run a program. And certainly coming from Penn State, going from the coordinator's chair back to the head coach's chair, I think I learned a lot of things there. But certainly excited to take it over the team. Like I said, optimism balance, and certainly excited to go up the season.
Coach, we'll go straight in front of us, about midway back. Right behind you.
Coach, over the last 2 years, Trace McSorley developed into one of the best quarterbacks in the country. So, are there any similarities, differences in working with an experienced quarterback in Fitzgerald?
I think there's a lot of similarities from a intangible standpoint. Both guys are very intelligent. They understand the game very well. Incredibly competitive. Trace, obviously, from a measurable standpoint, a little bit shorter. Than makes a 6'5" guy, 235-pound guy. Both are guys who can make all the throws. Both guys who can help win with their legs in the run game and can beat you in their arms in the pass game. So I think there's a lot of similarities between Trace and Nick.
Coach, we'll go all the way to the very back on the near eye.
Coach Moorhead, Gurney Army, WCCN Radio, Huntsville, Alabama. I wanted to ask you about the decision to bring Bob Shupin as defensive coordinator, and I know you guys work together at Penn State. He's very familiar with the SEC, and then also one of your players from my area in North Alabama, Errol Thompson. I really loved him in high school. How is he acclimated to your coaching staff, and what are you expecting out of him this season?
Coach Shoup's a guy that grew up in Pittsburgh at the time, about 15 minutes away from me. So certainly know him from a professional standpoint, his time at William & Mary, his time as a head coach, and certainly what he did at Vanderbilt and Penn State, and his experience in the SEC. So Coach has been a guy that's had top 10, top 15 defenses in the majority of the spots that he's been. So I think he was a good natural pick for us in terms of the formation of the staff, knowing each other, having familiarity, having experience, and certainly what he brings to the table, knowing the SEC. And Earl is a guy that plays our Mike linebacker position. Guys gets everybody lined up, makes all the calls. Very instinctive, intelligent football player, and a guy who can certainly stop the run and be a guy that is in the right spot against the pass.
We're going to go all the way to the back on the right side of the aisle.
Matt Schiller, Orlando Sentinel. Joe, have you and your staff discussed how you might utilize the new red shirt rule that goes into effect?
Yeah, we kind of had some preliminary discussions before we broke up the summer. And I think as much as people concentrate on the redshirt rule affecting the incoming freshmen, we first started off with looking at our roster and seeing who were the guys in the current roster who were redshirted and who hadn't. The guys who are non-first-year players, who are the guys that are a possibility, playing them in 4 games, but still preserving a year of eligibility for those guys where that was feasible. And then from there, we looked at the incoming freshmen. And I think really the decision that's going to be made, if you're going to play them above and beyond the 4 games that are permissible, will be how they progress in camp, where you are from the depth chart from an injury standpoint, and really, if you're going to use a year of eligibility, how much above those 4 games are they going to play to be able to affect the game in a positive manner. So it makes utilizing that year of eligibility a smart decision.
We'll go back to front, here on the near aisle, 4th row.
Brett Hudson, the Commercial Dispatch in Columbus. Nick said earlier that he's kind of made some minor tweaks to his throwing motion. Were those something that you suggested, something you picked up on the quarterback circuit over the summer? And how involved were you in helping him make those tweaks?
Yeah, I think it's a combination now. With quarterbacks in this day and age, that you have your position coach, you have your head coach, you play quarterback. And a lot of guys have guys that they go and see in the offseason and work with. And certainly Coach Bryner and the things that they've done. Nick and his mechanics have been more lower body focused and upper body focused. I think the things that he did, from upper body mechanics standpoint were very sound and solid. But a lot of work with making sure his feet are aligned at the target and throwing off the rhythm and things like that.
Next, we'll go back over to our left. Where's back?
Conor Guerra, Saturday Down South. Coach, have you had a welcome to the South moment yet?
Welcome to the South moment yet? I guess stepping out of your front door every day and being smacked in the face with the humidity, that's a pretty good welcome to the South moment. And then everything being wrapped in bacon and food, that's pretty good too.
All right, we'll go over here to the right.
Tyler Morgan, Clarity Budget. You're taking over for a team that ran the ball close to 65% of the time last year. In your background, obviously, you like to throw it a bit more than that. Just how much are you planning on throwing the ball, and how do you think the team is handling that adjustment?
I think a lot of it is you have your base scheme in place, and always as coaches, you want to make sure that your scheme is fitting your personnel, not your personnel fitting your scheme. And throughout the course of us running this offense, I don't think we've been ever over 55% one way or the other. So, we could be a little bit more run heavy, if that's what we do, and are more effective in running the ball and score points. And if we end up being a team that can pass it a little more, we may, gravitate more towards that. But I think for our offense to operate at its optimal level, we need to be able to run the ball successfully and force people to commit numbers to the box by support, by pressure, and that's what creates one-on-one matchups on the perimeter and gives our wide receivers and tight ends an opportunity to make plays down the field.
Coach will stay on the same side as you, Rosa.
Yes, Coach Dwayne Rankin, Montgomery Advertiser. You're taking over a program that took Alabama to the wire last season. Just what do you think about what Alabama has done, and when you see the type of game that you guys played last year, how much does that give you confidence that you guys can compete?
Certainly, Alabama is the standard, in our conference. They won the national championship and had a heck of a game there in the final. Ultimately, that's our biggest challenge is a program. We're looking to elevate this program from good to great. Everything that we want to do is to operate at a championship standard. So, what we do on the field, what we do in the classroom, what we do in the community on a daily basis, it's never going to be out there. It's going to be above the line or below the line. When you're chasing a great program like Alabama and your goal is to become the SEC championship, you have to make sure that you're doing things on a daily basis that are going to give you an opportunity to compete with a team of that caliber.
We'll go directly in front of me on the senior aisle, Edgar.
Yeah, Coach Edgar Thompson, the Orlando Sentinel. How would you characterize the quality of the quarterback room you inherited, and what maybe quality stands out among the group that Dan Mullen left behind?
I'm certainly very excited about our quarterback room. Leaving a situation like we were at Penn State and walking into this situation here with Nick and with KT and with the young guys that we have. In our offense at that position, you want a guy who's able to beat you with his brains, beat you with his arms, beat you with his legs. When you look at our top two guys with Nick and KT, they're two guys that understand the game, understand our offense. They're going to make the correct decisions the majority of the time. They'll continue to improve. Their numbers called in the run game by either design or improvisation. They can create explosive plays with their feet, and certainly what we do in the pass game. They have the arm to make all the throws, and we'll continue to work on their understanding of coverages and where to go with the ball and why. So certainly very excited amongst other positions on our team with the quarterback position.
Coach, we'll go over to the right, about 3/4 of the way back.
Maggie Clinton, Legend. What was your introduction to the Ole Miss-Mississippi State rivalry, and how do you plan on approaching that dynamic?
Approach to the Ole Miss-Mississippi State rivalry.
Oh, the approach to the Ole Miss-Mississippi State rivalry? No, I'm certainly excited to be a part of it. Coming from the Penn State rivalry, which was certainly, I think the characteristics of a great rivalry are two schools with a lot of tradition, who are in close proximity to one another, and whose fan bases are incredibly passionate about the game. I think that's something that's representative of the Mississippi State Ole Miss game. And I've had an opportunity to meet Coach Luke on the road recruiting at SEC meetings, and I think it's something that I'm very excited to be a part of. And it's a game that's important to our schools, important to our city, important to the state. So, November 22nd, it's going to be a heck of a game. I'm very excited about it.
Coach will go right down in front of me in the 4th row.
Ryan LeBoy, Sports Call Auburn. Coach, is there any sense of urgency to have a really good season this year with such a talented returning quarterback against Nick Fitzgerald and a lot of talent around him?
Sense of urgency?
Yes.
Yeah, I think it goes back to really talking about the expectation level and our ability to embrace that. And certainly you look at the preseason polls and what people have said about our team, because we have a lot of starters returning and a lot of production coming back. It's probably elevated the level of expectation for us, which is fine because no one's going to have higher expectations than us. And certainly, from a contextual standpoint, you have the elevated expectation level relative to who's coming back, and then you look at it, from what we've done in the past. You walk into the building, the A Bowl trophy's not there. We've never won an SEC championship. We've never competed for a national championship. So, part of our task as a staff is to elevate the program, which has got a very solid foundation from good to great. For our ability to do that, we're embracing the expectation level. We feel no one rises to low expectations. So when we talk about championship standard, I feel I was brought here to take a program that's really had one winning season in the SEC play in the last 15 years, make sure that we're competing in the conference play on a weekly basis and give ourselves a chance to win a conference championship.
Eugene Louise, we have one right in front of you, a couple of rows. Here in the back, on to our right.
Joe, right here.
JoeGoodmanAL.com. I was just wondering what it was like to play in Munich for a year.
Munich?
Yeah.
It was interesting.
As a quarterback, and I guess, do you still take anything away from that experience that you apply to?
From that experience, growing up as a kid in Pittsburgh, going to the same high school as Dan Marino, you kind of always wanted to follow in his footsteps and wanted to be an NFL quarterback. When my college experience ended, didn't hear my name called in the draft, and that wasn't happening, so you're looking to prolong your career by any means possible, and got an opportunity to go over there and play in the German Football League and meet some good people and see some good tourist attractions. Ultimately, didn't lead to much except the Trout and the Arena League, but it was a good experience.
All right, if you have a question for Coach, raise your hand. We've got time for a couple more. We'll go back up here on the second row over here to the left of Bob.
Hey, John, I'm just wondering, working with James Franklin, who obviously coached in the SEC at Vandy, what advice did he have, thoughts did he have on for you coming into the conference?
You talk about Coach Franklin, first and foremost. I'm incredibly indebted to him for the opportunity he gave me, taking a chance on an FCSA coach coming and running an offense in the Big Ten. So first and foremost, I'm very appreciative for that opportunity. Because the thing that we always talk about my 2 years there, relative to his experience in the SEC at Vanderbilt, was he would always refer to it as a line of scrimmage football league. And he thought the thing that separated the SEC from other conferences was the size, the speed, the athleticism, and the physicality of the fronts on both sides of the ball. So that's something we talk about most times.
Coach, we'll go over here to our right, about 3/4 of the way back.
Clear later. You talked earlier about being a new coach in the SEC, and obviously there are a few others. Do you think the fact that there are a few other new coaches here in the SEC kind of alleviates some of the pressure that you might have felt if you were maybe the only one? And what are some of those pressures that you're feeling?
I don't necessarily think it alleviates it. And, relative to pressure, I think there's two ways to view it. You either feel it or you apply it. And I believe the attitude reflects leadership. And we're going to be a football program that's not concerned about the outside expectations. We're going to be a team that's constantly looking to apply the pressure on the field. So, 6 coaches have an opportunity. Certainly, the one that we have here in Mississippi State is one that we're expecting to play very well this season. So I think I can't speak for the other coaches, but I know the opportunity we have here is one that's very exciting.
Coach Moorhead, thank you for your time. Welcome to the SEC.
Thank you, guys. Hail State.